Welcome back, my dear students. So it's time for us to start our project. We're gonna have a lot of fun and we're gonna learn a bunch of really cool stuff in this course. So if you're ready, I am ready. Let's do it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and create everything from scratch. And if I make a mistake, just keep in mind that if I don't make the lecture work in the same video, I will make it work in the next video. So if I make a mistake on this one and you notice, um, I'll fix it in the next video or the video after that. Okay. I like to make my videos with errors. So that way, when I encounter something, you see me how I fix it, and then you learn how to do that. Okay. This is how I do all my courses. So anyway, we are going to create a CMS, content management system. I'm just gonna name it CMS. I'm just gonna make a folder. So we're gonna start everything from scratch, guys. It's gonna be pretty awesome. Go ahead and open your favorite editor or IDE. I'm going to be using WebStorm. Okay, you could use a Visual Studio, which is a really great editor for JavaScript. Brackets.io is another one, so keep that in mind. I'm going and opening my what you call it. I'm gonna go ahead and open that folder there, even though I can just go ahead and. But let's just open it up. Let me just go to coding faculty. I'm gonna go to desktop. I'm gonna try to find it here somewhere. There we go. There we go. As you can see, I have it right here. For those of you that are just using a text editor or a code editor that doesn't have a terminal right here like this one. This one is just basically a wrapper around the original terminal of your computer. So if you have command prompt, WebStorm is gonna use that and integrate it with theirs here. Okay. So keep that in mind. I'm going to change my preferences here just a little bit so that way you guys can see this a little better. Okay. On 20, I'm just gonna make it 22, and I just check on this one here. It was already checked, but I wanted to show you how to do it for those of you using um, the WebStorm. But anyway, so the first thing that we are going to do is we're gonna do npm init just to start our application. I'm gonna name it CMS, of course. The version is just gonna be by default. I like to write it down. I'm just gonna put, this is gonna be 1, just like that. A CMS in Node.js. All right, like this. Enter the entry point. We're gonna make it app.js. You can make it whatever name you want. I just like to use app.js. And keywords, CMS, author, your name or my name if you like to do that. Enter and then enter. So now our package.json file should be here somewhere, right? Great. So I'm not going to install anything right now. What I want to do is I want to make some directories, some of the things that we are going to be having in this project, right? So the first directory that I want to create is going to be our views. We're going to keep all our HTML in here, okay? Next directory is going to be models, or our data is going to be managed there in that directory. Oops, as a matter of fact, this directory should be in the root right here. Okay, well, let's make a new directory. The next one is going to be a public directory. This one, we're going to keep the public files that are going to be shown to the public, to regular people. Let's say if we launch this application later on online, we want to keep all those, the CSS and the images on that directory. Also, let's do one for the routes. Let's create that directory just because, in some tutorials, you're going to see that the routes are kept like inside the app.js. We don't want to do that. I want to keep it in the route directory. What else do we need? Maybe we need a configuration file. We can call this config like I do it in some of my other courses. And maybe we have some helper functions. We're not going to say they're functions. Let's just call it maybe helpers or something like that. what else we need here. We might make all the directories later on if we need to, okay? Now, another thing that I want to create is the app.js file, of course. App.js. There we go, okay? So we got our views folder where we are going to be keeping our HTML or whatever template we are using. We are going to be using probably like handlebars or Jade or something else. So that data, that the view, the representation of our application, whatever is shown to the public is going to be in this folder, of course. But remember that when I say public, I mean like where we are going to grab that data and serve it to our to the users. Okay, that's what they're going to be seeing. Then we have our routes here. This is where we manage the code for the routes, public CSS, images and all that stuff, models for our data, helpers just in case we have any helper functions that we don't want to include anywhere else, configuration, maybe like secret data from some type of API, maybe a database configuration, like username, passwords, and things like that. We keep it in this folder here. And of course, our app.js is just gonna be the server. You can name this server.js if you like, okay? So we got the directory here, and we configure our application just to start setting it up right. And on the next lecture, we're gonna continue with this. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you on the next lecture. Welcome back, my dear students. I'm so glad that you're here. Now, for those of you that are tired, get some water in your face, get a little energy drink, make sure it's natural, right? We don't want to mess up our bodies. But anyways, so you guys are ready? Let's do it. Okay, so we were working on an application. We created the directories. Now we created our app.js, but we don't have anything there, any code. The next step is for us to build this app.js, which is going to be our server. Remember that in Node.js, you need to build your own server, okay? So remember that we have this package.json file, okay? And this is gonna have our metadata for our application, basically some information, and it's gonna have our dependencies reference, okay? So we are going to be using a couple modules. One of the modules, the main module, is gonna be Express. Express is so huge, you can basically build any app in Express, okay? It just wraps around a lot of functionality of Node.js. So let's go ahead and install it. Remember that when we install it like this, most of the time, well, in a later update in NPM, downloads locally, meaning that by default, if you have a new version of npm on something that maybe if you download an npm in this course, okay, with me the first time, then you don't have to worry about the flag that I mentioned in the beginning of the course, this save flag, okay? Back in the day when for me, a couple, some time ago, you had to actually do the save, so that way your dependencies would be reflected here. Remember that the only reason we have this package.json is so that when we are sharing our application, right? We just have to we don't need this node modules folder because it gets huge, okay? We can delete it, and then if we have this package.json, somebody else can come and do npm installed and get everything that we have to make our application work, right? But anyway, so we got our Express framework, okay, working there. Well, it's not working yet, but it's installed. So let's go ahead and play around and create some type of server, right? The first thing that we are going to do is create a constant to hold our Express module or require. And we're just going to require Express. Remember that by default, this is going to look in the no modules folder. Okay, we don't have to put our semicolon when we are coding, but I recommend it. I really recommend this. You're gonna see a lot of developers not include that, but that's because they come from other languages. If you ever code a lot in JavaScript or let's say PHP or something like that, you're gonna put your semicolon. It's good practice to do that. Okay. Now with the new versions of JavaScript, ES6 and Node versions, you don't have to really put your semicolons all the time, okay? So we have that Express. Now let's create an app from that express function, right? Now we have the app. All we have to do is create listen for anything. So app.listen, we bring that listen like this. Now we can listen for, let's say, port 4500, something like that. And I'm gonna have a callback here, and I'm using the new version, fat arrow function, some of us call it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go and edit my preferences for languages because my IDE is not playing nice with me, and I'm gonna make sure that it recognizes ES6. There we go. Now it recognizes that. It doesn't give me any problems. So let's do a console here real quick just to make sure that we are listening, or that we can see that our server is working, right? I'm gonna do the tilde here below my escape key. Those little, they look like single quotes, but they're not. And so that way we can write template strings. This is ES6 stuff. You can, in strings, you can write, you can put variables basically. So listening on port 4500. I'm just gonna use that later, so that's why I'm doing it now. Okay, you don't have to, but now we are going to be using NodeMon. Now, for those of you that don't remember, this is a module, or something that we installed, this tool that we did install globally in our computer. So we could do NodeMon app.js, and we should have a server that works. Okay. If you never installed that, make sure you go npm installed, pass the flag, and install NodeMon like this. Okay. You can also do node app.js, but then your server will not refresh. Okay. So now that we're listening, that our server is working here, you can see it. It's time for us to start making sure that we are getting some type of response in the browser. So let's do that in the next lecture. Thank you so much. Hi, welcome back, my dear students. So now it's time for us to start basically bootstrapping our application, or let's just say putting some files in there so that way we can see how the application starts to look. For example, we want to create, and I have 3 files here, 3 folders that they are going to have some code for our front end. Okay, we need this because we need to see what in the world we are doing, right? So I got 3 folders here, one for the home, one for the single post, and one for our admin. Okay, now if you did not download that, and this will be located in the first lecture of this section, and it will also be in the first in the beginning lectures of the course, okay, where the reference files are. If I go here and I click, let's say, on index, I'm going to show you how our home is going to look. This is how our home is going to look. We are going to have, and I already probably explained that to you, but this is our post. When we click here, it's just going to take us to a single post page. But here, basically, it's going to have like a blog, some categories, and some links up here, and so on. Okay. So we need to make sure that this works in our application. Right now, our application, there's nothing working there. Okay. We don't even have routes. So if we go to port 4500, and our application should be running 4500, it's not working. Okay. So we need to make sure that that works. So the way we are going to be doing that is that we have to make sure that our application accepts static files. Now, the reason why we want to make sure that accepts static files is because we are going to be using some CSS that we need our application to understand, and we are going to be using maybe some JavaScript, right? So let's go back to our application. Let's just go here real quick, and let's make sure that it does accept some type of static, okay, files. So we are going to be using Express, of course. That's what this variable is all about. And we're going to inject this into our application by using use. Remember, this is how we do the middleware. Then we're gonna use the express function here to bring this static method or whatever. And here, let's include the path module that we are going to be needing here. Let's do path, and this is a built-in module, so we don't need to download it. Remember that this comes with Node out of the box, path. Okay. Now the reason why you see these underlines is because my IDE doesn't have like Node.js assistance. So for those of you using WebStorm, you can go and say Node assistance or something like that. I love this search right here. You see, it helps me. If I do enable, it's gonna configure that and it's just gonna make it work. Okay. So anyway, I'm just gonna cancel that because we can do that in another video, right? I just went ahead and paused the video and clicked enable again, just because it's gonna take a little bit for me for some reason, but I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pause the video. It should be 1 second for you. Changing my what you call it, my mind so much there. For some reason mine does not want to work, but that's how it should work. Okay, I'm using a very slow laptop right now, so don't worry about that. Sorry for those seconds lost. So anyway, but that's how you enable this, and your IDE will not complain. Okay, it should work on yours. Mine is not working. I don't know why is the reason for right now, but that's not important. So let's go ahead and start playing around with this. Okay, so now that we have our path included here, let's go ahead and create this path.join. Let's use this path and the join function to include our directory. Now we can go ahead and do it like this, and we can include our directory, but this is kind of hard code data here. So the first parameter, you put the that you want to join this folder, this file with, okay, the public. Well, actually, you can leave it like this. I want to make sure that my application is a little bit more dynamic, and I want to make sure that wherever I am, whatever folder I am, or whatever file I am, is going to include that with, or basically join together with the public. Okay, like this. Now we should be able to use static files here in this public directory. Okay, so let's go ahead and right now we're not going to use this now, but we are going to use this a little later. Right now what I want to do is I want to make sure that we have some type of route so we can see something going on in our application. So I'm going to use express, of course. Again, I'm going to do a / to make it so it goes to the root, to the port 4500. Then we are going to use the fat arrow function to bring the request and the response, and we are going to show something here, right? So we want to show something here to make sure that our application is working. It's not SNED, it's send. It works. Okay, let's go back here. Oh, NodeJs should be working, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see this. Control C just to make sure. Then we do NodeJs app.js. Let's go back. Let's open some type of browser. Go back here. Local host 4500. Oh, not 45,000, or I mean 45. There we go. We got this here. Okay. So let's go back here, and we can do a little bit more than that now. So let's where is my application? Right here. Let's go ahead and set up this views folder. Okay, so that way we can at least see something going on here. So let's create another folder. I'm going to call this the home directory, because what we want to do is want to create different directories for different data. I want this, all the home stuff that we're going to have in home to be home. Maybe later on we have another one for admin, but right now this is what we got. Okay. Now, I also want to create a layouts directory. This is just because we are going to be using another module called handlebars. A handlebars is going to look by default for a layouts folder where we are going to be keeping our layouts. For example, if we have a layout for home, and we are going to have a different layout for the home than admin, right? So in these layouts, we are going to have, let's say, let's create this, and this is going to be in handlebars. So create a file here, and we just can call it home.handlebars, like this. Okay, that's all. Now, what I'm gonna do is that in that layout, and just to see something, we are going to copy this index right here. Okay, so let's grab that and basically copy whatever is there to that file. Okay, so let me just take that out so that way I can see what I'm doing. I'm gonna drop that in there. I'm gonna Command A or Control A, Control C or Command C, and I'm gonna go to home and I'm gonna paste it in there because I want something there. I want to be able to see something. And now that that's there, let's go back to app.js. I'm gonna take that out. Okay, so now we have some data here in home.handlebars. But we're not going to be able to see anything because we have to download a module for us to see this data, right? Now, let me explain what this dot handlebars is. This dot handlebars is an engine, basically another module that we are going to be using to play around with variables and, inside our HTML. Okay, so it's a template engine. We learned a little bit about that in this course, right? So we know what a template engine is. So let's go ahead and set up that engine so that it works with our application, okay? So right here, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use this function called engine in our Express app. And I'm going to tell it that the first parameter is, of course, the first parameter is handlebars because it wants to know which engine you were talking about. If you were using something like Jade, which is another template engine, you would do J here, right? But handlebars, and now the second parameter would be the module itself, but we don't have that module. So let's make sure that we download that module. Let's comment this out, and so the application doesn't crash. Do Control C to end that, and you can update if you want, okay, whatever it tells you here. So I'm gonna do npm install the express hyphen handlebars. You can do that in your shell, right? So once that's installed, I'm going to require up here. So const, and then it's express. I'm just gonna abbreviate it a little bit. Express handlebars, something like that, and then require. Okay, so express handlebars, just like that. So let's go back to our second, well, not here. Where's the engine? Oh, right here. This is the engine function. So the second parameter here is going to be that this express handlebar right here. And of course, it's going to be this function that we are going to be passing an object inside, right? This object is going to have a key that I'm not making this up. It's expected this key called default layout, and it has a bunch of different keys we can use. You can go to the Express Handlebars GitHub page and find out more. But so I'm going to tell it, listen, I want you to look for a layout, and this by default is going to look in the layouts folder. And you don't have to type in the extension. You just got to tell it the name. And I'm going to be looking for this layout here. Every time I go ahead and use a function here that's going to be called render. This render function, okay, automatically is going to look in the views directory. And because we're setting up, this here is going to be looking in the default layouts folder here inside the views for something called home, right? For some file called home. So that's set up already. And this render is going to be looking, no matter, even if you're using another template engine, this render is always going to look in the views directory, unless you tell it don't look in there, which you can probably hack it a little bit and play around with it, right? But we want to render something there, right? And we don't even have that view there. Let's just now create some type of view, right? So I'm going to create a file here. I'm just going to call this, I'm going to come down here. I'm going to call this index, like that. Okay? Simple as that. It's nothing out of this world. As a matter of fact, you know what? Let's just have this index inside home as well. Why don't we do that? Okay? Right here. That's where it actually has to be. So render something in the directory called home, render the index. You don't have to type in the extension. Now this is, let's see what it does here. Let's go back here. Let me show you. Let's do nomon app.js. And now it's telling me, well, this HBS is not a function. Okay. Let's go back here. PHBS is not a function. Express handlebar. So let me see if I made a mistake somewhere. Oh, I forgot something really important. And that is that we need to make sure that our application has recognizes this as a view engine. Okay. So we need to do a little bit more configuration here. The next line would be, we need to tell it, listen, I want you to expect the view engine to be handlebars. And now this, of course, this engine function helps us insert stuff into that engine, into that templating engine. But this set here is what tells our whole entire application, this is your engine. And the second parameter will be handlebars. So I'm sorry about that confusion there. Keep in mind again that this is the set variable. Now this is going to differ depending on the engine that you're using. So now all the time you're going to be using the same exact setup, but very similar. Okay, but this set here you're going to be using 99.9% of the time. Okay, so now if you were using another, then you will be doing something like this. And you don't have to do this for every single engine. Every engine has some type of different configuration. So you might want to look in the documentation for that. So now if I do this, it's still giving me issues here. We're just going to debug it real quick and see what the issue here. View engine, handlebars. We got this default layout. Let's see what, and we are doing handlebars here. It looks like it's not. See, there's a typo here. Default layout, home. Let's see, app engine. Oh, okay. Look at that. Now let's click it here, and now it's working. All right. All right. So you see, I'm not editing this video because I want to make sure that, you guys learn from my mistakes as well. So I'm just going to go here to the local 4500. I'm going to refresh. And as you can see, we got something going on here. So it is serving our file somehow, right? But the CSS or JavaScript, whatever is supposed to be working here is not. So we need to set that up. In the next lecture, we're going to continue with this and we're going to make this work and look nice. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Welcome back, my dear students. So in this lecture, we are going to be making our application look a lot better than what it does right now. We don't have styles. It's pretty boring. I know. We're just going to make this awesome, all right? So are you guys ready? Let's do it. So the way to do this would be to include some CSS inside our public folder here. Now, you could, if you wanted to, use npm, download a package in the Node modules folder, and go ahead and inside your layouts, include it. You put /node modules here, whatever, and you follow that to the bootstrap file, right? We could do that if we wanted to, but no, I like my application styles to be there, especially when we launch this online, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Let's go to that blog home directory or folder that I gave you, those files. Make sure that you go to the CSS, and what you want to do is you want to dump that inside your public in your project right here. So you want to go and copy it. It's better to copy it, don't lose that file, right? And go to that vendor bootstrap and make sure you go to the CSS and also dump there bootstrap.min. Okay, that's all you got to do inside your public. So now here in my IDE, you can see that that's there, right? Oops, in the what am I doing? Okay, now what we want to do, and what I like to do, is create another directory called CSS, just to keep that in there, because I'm going to have other things in here. I'm just going to drag that in there, and that way it's separate from, and let's just create that right now, from our JS or JavaScript files. And yes, we can have some JavaScript files to do some external things, and let's just create another directory called uploads. All right, okay. So now going back to home.handlebars, which is inside the layouts folder, inside the views folder, of course, which is located there. Let's go and just make sure that there's a / there, and goes to CSS bootstrap.min, CSS blog home. Okay, right here. So now our application, it's being refreshed by Nodemon, right? So if we make any changes to our root or JavaScript, it's listening to it, but refresh, and now that should work. Okay, as you can see now, our application is working awesome. Now we do need to make a couple changes, because right now it's just showing our template. It's showing only, it's not even showing anything, some of the pages that we want. For example, if we make another route, and I will, just to show you, let's copy this whole thing, because most of our routes are going to be the same, right? We want this in a separate file later, but just for demonstration purposes only, I'm going to make another route, and let's go and create this about inside our views, inside our home, and let's do handlebars. So about that handlebars, I got this little live code there, or a template, that it adds my extension every time I want to create a new file. I got different extensions here, so we can edit file templates here, and that's how I was able to use handlebars, okay, in this IDE. Anyway, so let's create a h1 here and call it about. And if we go back to app.js, we can see that it's, make sure that it renders home about. We don't need a / here, guys. It doesn't work like that, because by default our application is looking inside the views directory, so we don't need / before the home. We need it after, and we don't need the extension, remember that, because it knows we're using handlebars. Okay, so now if we go to that route, or that route, like some people call it, depending where you're from, let's come back here, about, you can see nothing here. Okay, now our about is working, and don't get me wrong, it is working. We could really show this by doing send like that and refresh here, and you can see that it is something is going on. It is working. Okay, now we want to render something, but in order for the render to work, we need to go to our template and tell it, listen, I want you to show me dynamic content. I don't want you to show me this page all the time. So for us to actually, make it so that it works, we need to use this as a template, as what it was meant to be. So what I want to do is I want to take out a lot of stuff out of here and take it to the index. I'm going to leave everything inside this div container. So what I want to do is I want to separate. Remember, we are in home.handlebars. So I'm going to separate everything, and I'm just going to take everything inside the row div. So let's go back here. Let's see where the row div is. And this is going to be a difficult one, trying to find that div. I forgot there is a shortcut that would allow me to traverse up and find that div. There we go, right here. So inside here, I'm just going to take everything off from here. And I could, if I wanted to, and this just makes it easier. You see that? And take that whole thing out of here. Now what we got here is a container. Now I did Command C or Control C, okay, to cut it, because what I want to do is I want to go to index. Make sure you have an index.handlebars inside the home directory and paste that in there. I'm going to expand it by doing plus. We have that content there. What we want to do here is want to make sure that whatever route we make has its own content. And by doing that, we need to make sure that our template is showing dynamic data. So we do this by doing this. Curly brackets 3 times, then body, and then curly brackets again 3 times. And now our application knows that what comes here is dynamic data. Okay? So we can go to our index, and this was just for demonstration purposes, okay? And let's just go here, and page heading is just gonna be about here. Okay? And actually not about, that's the home page. Sorry about that. Home. Okay, so let's go to the about page, and it has this H1 there. Remember that. So let's go here to our application. Let's go to home page and see what happens. Okay, we got home page. Let's make this a little smaller. Okay, home page. Great. Let's go to about and see what happens. About. And as you can see, about still has the navigation and the footer, and it doesn't have the middle content that we stripped out and put it in the index, right? It doesn't have that. So it has the about data only, but it does keep everything else around the same. Okay, so now we have our application showing dynamic data by just doing a simple change here with this variable, which is pretty cool, right? We also have our application with really cool styles. Now what we're going to do in the next lecture, and what I want to do is I want to actually create some type of folder directory and keep partials, keep different parts of our application there, like includes, okay, like I do in most of my courses. So we are going to just take down this navigation, put it in a navigation file, maybe take down the footer, just in case we want to do other things with it later on. I'll show you how to do that with handlebars later on the next video. Thank you so much, guys, and I hope you guys are having a lot of fun. See you next. Welcome back, my dear students. On the last lecture, we made everything work dynamically, but we still have some content here that I would like to have somewhere else. So let's make some partials for this, and let's just have some fun, okay? So inside our views directory, we are going to create some type of directory called partials. Now our application is going to be looking for this directory, so make sure that you call it partials. And inside here, we're gonna have some other directories. I want to have some partials for the home, and maybe I want to have some partials for the admin. Okay. But here, I want to have a file. I'm gonna name this. Make sure that it's .handlebars every time you're dealing with HTML stuff. So we're just gonna say this is gonna be the home hyphen nav. Okay, like this. Home hyphen nav .handlebars. And let's go back to the, what is it? Index, views, home index. I know this could be confusing having the same names, but make sure that you are following me, okay? And actually, hold on. Our index doesn't have that, so this layouts here has, okay, so go to layouts, home, and in right here, just take out the navigation. Oops. Cut it out. And the way we are going to be including this, make sure you cut it out and have it in your clipboard, okay? Because we're going to paste it somewhere else now. So let's do curly brackets, and then we are going to be using the greater than symbol and the directory where this is located. Remember that it's going to look for the partials directory by default. So now we don't have to kind of write that down here. We just have to write the next directory called home. So that's what we're doing here. Home, and then hyphen home nav, like this, curly brackets again to close it. Now we got to go to that partials home hyphen nav and paste that code in there. Okay, so now nothing should change. Let's go back to the home, and we should still see the home navigation here. And let's test that real quick. And let's just put a link here. Let's just say I want this to go to about. Okay, so we make that change, we refresh here, and when we click about, that goes to the about page. See that? So that's working. Pretty cool stuff, right? What else can we have? Can we have a footer? Well, let's go ahead and do that. Let's go to home layouts, and let's get the footer out of there. I just want to be able to have the footer somewhere else that I can play around with it, right? Curly brackets, greater than symbol, right? Then the name of that directory, home, and we haven't created this file, footer. Okay, just like that. Then close it again. We have not created this footer handlebars yet, so let's go to partial right here in home directory. We are going to create that file. Remember, footer handlebars. I'm just not typing it because I have that template already set up in my application. So footer, I'm gonna change this to 2030. Okay, let's go back, let's refresh, and let's go all the way to the bottom, and you can see that that has been changed. See that? Pretty cool stuff, guys. Pretty cool stuff. So this is how you include files using this template engine. Remember, this is for handlebars. Okay, this does not work for every template engine. Every template engine is different. They might look very similar, some of them, but they have different functionalities. The core fundamentals are always the same. Some of these template engines are going to allow you to include files, okay, and they have their own syntax to do that. So you have to look in the documentation to do that, okay. Now these scripts here, if you don't want to execute them all over the place, you might want to put them in the footer, okay. But here we're done. Thank you so much for watching this lecture, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Welcome back, my dear students. I hope you guys are having a great day. Today is a really good day to code, okay? So this is where we are right now. We have our application working, showing the index view, but we want to do a little bit more than that. We want the users to be able to log in, register, and then be directed to the admin area. In order for us to achieve that, we need to have views, right? We need to have the login, the register view, and we need to have the admin area. So we are going to be building up the views right now. And later on, when you get a little bit more knowledge about Node.js, we are going to build the backend for login and registration. Just because login and registration is going to take a little bit more knowledge for Node.js, we are going to build just the views. and then the admin area, and do the CRUD. And then once we finish all that, then we build the login and registration. Okay, so I want to do this first because I want to show you the CRUD, and then once we do that, then it's just going to be easier for you to understand the login and registration. But anyway, so in this lecture, I will include a login.html and register.html file. If it's not in this lecture, make sure that you go to blog home and you're going to see register and login.html. Those files are the files that we need in order for us to create the login.handlebars and login and register.handlebars inside the views directory. So I'm going to go ahead and open up our project here. Inside this home directory, I'm going to create a login. Basically, we're going to paste that code into these files that we're going to be creating. So we created login.handlebars, and we create a, let's just do it like this so that way, register.handlebars, right? So we're going to just paste that code in here. I already put this in my brackets editor. So make sure that you copy that register.html content into this file here, and go ahead and grab the login.handlebars and paste it in here. Okay, great. So now we need to build a route, but in this lecture here, what we're going to be doing is separating our routes. We're going to start separating it, but let's go first and create a route for it. I'm going to copy that and paste it here and paste another one. I'm going to call this login like this, login and register. Okay. As a matter of fact, we're going to build the router, or put some routes inside the router directory in the next lecture. And the reason why is just because it's going to take some time. I don't want this lecture to be 20 minutes. Okay. But anyway, so let's get those views working first. So when we go to home, we're going to go to the login.handlebars, and then we're going to go to the register.handlebars. Okay. And as you can see, they're here. Let's go to our partial home, and actually to our layouts. What's going on here? Oh, we don't have anything there yet. So let's go to the layouts, home.handlebars, and our navigation is not here. So let's go to our partial home nav. That's where it is. Okay. And we want to copy one of these guys just to test things out. And we want to say login and register. Okay. And of course, we want to change this to say login and register. And let's see how that looks real quick. All right. I don't have it here. Where it is? Where is it? Where is it? Let's refresh this. There we go. We got the links here. Click, and that says login and register. Okay, so it's working. We got at least that working. On the next lecture, let's have some really big fun by actually creating a router, or creating our routes in a separate directory and separate file, which is going to be awesome. So if you guys ready for that, let's do it. Jump into the next lecture. See you then. Back, my dear students. Are you guys ready? Let's do it. We're going to have a lot of fun in this lecture. Okay, so let's build our routes. Let's go ahead and open up the CMS, and I wonder where it is. Let me just check that out real quick. There we go. It's hiding from me. I don't know what's going on with this, guys. Sometimes it's hiding, sometimes it's not. I think it's some type of ghost or something. Anyway, so let's build our routes. Let's just cancel this here just because it's gonna make us kind of crazy, right? So the first thing is build our routes. Now we could, and you're gonna see this in most applications, you're gonna see where they create a JavaScript file, and it has to be a JavaScript file that says route or routes.js or something like that, and then they put all the routes inside this file. I don't want to do that because our application is going to have a lot of routes, and I want to keep things separate. I want to keep post routes separate, categories routes separate. I want to keep home routes separate. Okay, so for that, we are going to divide this. I'm going to create a directory called home, And I want to create another directory called admin, okay, because we're going to have an admin. And inside the home, I'm going to create a JavaScript file. That's why I'm not actually putting .js, because if I right click on my ID, it's going to do it for me with these templates here. But anyway, it would be something like, we could call this main.js for main routes, or we can call it index if you want to do that. I just want to make sure that you know what these routes is all about. So main.js, okay? And we need to write some code here, okay? But before we do that, we need to go to our app.js. And this is all the main route. The register, the about, everything that's in the home. And you know what, as a matter of fact, let's just call this, no, that's fine. Let's just leave it like that, main.js, okay? That's going to be all the, because I didn't want to name this file home as the same name as the directory. So it's kind of confusing, right? So we need to remove all this code, remove all that, Command X or Control X, move it to here. Oops. There we go. And paste it there. Let's go back to app.js real quick. And now we need to do a couple things here, okay? We need to load all those routes. So we're going to make a constant here, and we're going to call this a main, okay? Just for main routes. And we're going to require that file, okay? That is, let's put the quotes here, is in the file or the folder is inside, is in the same level as app.js, right? Because it's right here. So we signify that by doing dot and then /. If we wanted to go up another directory, we do 2 dots, but it's 1 dot. So that, then routes, and then the name of that file without, actually it's home, and then the name of the file, because we had a directory there. See that? We don't need the extension, okay? Node already knows about this. And then once we have that loaded here, we need to let our application know about it, because right now we're just including that here. It's really not doing anything. So how do we plug things in our application? Do you remember how we do that? Well, we do that with middlewares, right? So we're gonna say app.use, super simple, okay? And now what we want to actually do is every time somebody goes to our root, which is /, we want to execute the main route. Simple as that. Just like that. Okay? Simple. Now, here we need to do just a little bit of work, okay? First of all, we need our express application here, our express function, because we are using express for that. And let's require that. Let's do it here. Require. I don't know why it never helps me autofill require. I probably have to install some type of plugin in my IDE, but it should be, we use this function so much, require, that it should be that instead of request, right? But anyway, so require, and then we want to require express. There we go. And now here we are going to be using the router from Express, which is a functionality inside that lets us deal with routes. It's a wrapper around the, the requests, a wrapper around the app that, the Node.js routes functionality. So let's create another constant here, and we're going to call this router. And we are going to require, actually not require, but we're going to be using the express.router, just like that, like here, like this. And instead of doing app.get, we can now use router, like that. Come here and we replace each of those. Super simple, guys. Like that. Now, we're not done yet. We need to do something else. Now, when we are done here, using our routes, changing all that, we need to make sure that this file is exported, because remember that right now we are requiring that file. So when we are requiring a file, we need to export it out. Okay, so how do you remember how we export things out? Because I show you that in the first lectures, right? We do module dot exports, remember this object. Then we are going to add the router to it. Look at that. This router is the same as this guy right here. So when we export that out, then that router, all that functionality is going to be right here in this middleware, right? So every time this middleware, which is the / the root, is executed, all this code here is going to be available. Okay, so now we can still, our application is going to do the same thing it was doing before. Let's just refresh, and login is the login, register is the register. As you can see, everything is working, and because we have NodeMon working for us, everything is refreshing as well. Okay, so always keep in mind that you have that your application is running when you're doing NodeMon. There we go. Hopefully that is spelled correctly in the captions, which I know some of my words are not going to be, and that's auto-generated, just to give you guys that information. Let's fix this link right here. I don't think this is going to home. Let's go to our views, layouts, actually partials, home nav, and this is supposed to be that. Let's refresh, take that out of there, home, and voila, we got that working, guys. Register and about. Perfect. We learned a lot of cool stuff from this lecture, right guys? Really good. So I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye. Welcome back, my dear students. So we got some of the things working, right? Some of the router functionalities. Now, I'm not gonna go into details about fixing links like this, because they should be fixed on your copies of your files. They should be good for now. What I want to do is I want to go straight to the admin, because I want to start building like really back-end stuff. I don't want to deal too much with this front end now. I just wanted to get this over with for now. But I want to jump into the back end, like creating posts, deleting it, editing it, and putting stuff in the database. We want to have some fun, because I get bored really easily. So, and you probably do too. So let's go ahead and jump into that. Let's start creating our admin. Okay, right now we don't even have a admin layout for it. Okay, so the first thing is that we need an admin layout. Okay, so let's create an admin layout, and I'm gonna call this admin.handlebars or something like that. Admin admin.handlebars. Okay, that's gonna be the admin layout. Where are we gonna get that? Well, we have a file somewhere here where it says SB admin. That should be included in the beginning of this section here. If it's not, it's in the exercise files in the beginning of the course. So if I click on this, this is what we want. We want something blank that we are able to do things like this. Okay. Now, to get all these functionalities working, we need JavaScript. Okay, we need some Java JS files. So we need to make that work as well. Okay, so let's go and bring that up again. Let's see if we are able to go where that is. Let's go and open this up a little bit like this. Okay, we have that admin. So make sure you open up that file, the admin. I have it open right here, admin boost whatever for whatever the name is, and I'm gonna drag that in there. I'm gonna Command A. I'm just gonna copy it into the admin.handlebars, just like that. Okay, now in order for that to work, we need the bootstrap. We already have a bootstrap file, so we have that working now right there. That's in our public directory. We need font awesome. Okay, and we need this sbadmin.css. So if we go to the CSS file here, you can see that it's looking for this guy right here. So let's go to our public CSS, and then inside here I'm going to right click and create a JavaScript file, well, style sheet file. I'm going to call this admin, no, sb admin.css. Okay, and I'm going to copy everything that's here, okay, to that file, paste it in there. Okay, now let's go back to that admin, that handlebars, make sure that it goes to the root directory there and it's linking properly. If this is not going to linking properly, this is not going to work for you. Now we need to make sure that we have font awesome. Now font awesome is gonna need the fonts. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to look in this lecture or the SB admin here somewhere where you can grab the font awesome. So font awesome is gonna be in vendor. Let me see if I remember. No, CSS. Huh. Vendor. Let's see if I can remember where this is. Just it was right here. It was right in front of me all this time, guys. All this time. So copy that. Right. We're gonna just copy that into our public directory, and we're just gonna dump it in there. Okay, inside the CSS, and paste it in there. Simple as that. Now let's go back to our application, and we're gonna say is inside the CSS, and then font awesome, and that should be all the same, right? If you look at it, you see. Now let's go and create a route for our admin. Let's go to routes, and then inside admin, we want to be able to go to, I don't know, something like maybe dashboard, something like that. So that way, or maybe, you know what, let's create a main admin. Okay, let's do something like I don't want it to create main for home, and let's just create something that's called admin, just to change it up a little bit. Okay, so this is just the routes there, and let's require that in app.js. The same thing that we did here, we are going to do here like that. And here, we're going to change this up to admin, and this is going to be admin here. You know what? Let's just make everything. I didn't want to make it the same because I didn't want to confuse you, but I think you will get more confused if we have all these different names here, right? So let's just, and you can leave it the same if you want. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call this index. Okay, that's going to be the index for admin. And that's going to be the index for the home. Okay, so make sure that instead of this, you change here the name home, and this will be admin like that. Okay, and for home, it's going to be, remember that the routes is going to go to home and then index, and then here admin and then index. Okay, so again, let's go from the beginning so you don't get confused. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't want to change it up on you like that, but we're going to change it up a little bit. So it just makes more sense. Okay, in the routes folder, we have this admin directory, right? And then in admin, we have an index. This index file is going to have all the routes for admin, like the admin homepage, the dashboard, something that has to do with admin. You're going to see that later on. Don't worry about it too much right now. And then in home, we have another index that's going to be responsible for everything in the front end. Okay. And then here, we're just requiring routes, home index, and then we name it home because that's going to be the home. And then here we got routes admin index for um, routes admin index. Okay, and simple as that. I'm gonna copy this. Make sure you change this too. So this is gonna be home, and this is gonna be admin. Okay. Now, one thing that you might be a little confused here is that we need to name this differently here. So this will go to that. Okay, the root, but people have to type in admin to get to the admin routes. Okay, you might want to put some comments here, low routes, and then use routes here like that, and set view engine. Oh gosh, why did I need my Red Bull? No, I'm joking, not Red Bull. Natural drinks. Okay, so this is crashing. It's telling me that router. That the reason why this I get this error here is because I don't have anything in here. Okay, I'm not exporting anything. So if I go to home real quick and I copy that, I'm gonna copy all this. I'm gonna come back here and I'm gonna paste that code in here like that. I'm gonna do module exports and I'm gonna export the router. Oh, we have to do basically the same thing, guys. Now, I want you to keep this in mind. This, we don't have to change it to admin, okay? Because if we go to app.js, we are already telling our middleware that when people reach or any code reaches / which is the root admin, is going to execute admin. So in your admin routes, you don't have to go and do this because it's just gonna do it twice. It's already done for us automatically like this without us having to do it here. So now, if we make another route, for example, let's say dashboard, okay? In the URL, people have to type something like this to get there. Admin dashboard, okay? Well, I misspelled it there, but you get what I'm saying, right? Because the admin is already included here, okay, in the front of in our server. We don't have to type it in here. So every time we do this here, we can create our what people have to type right here from app.use inside the server or the app.js. Okay, if we want people to type in admin users, then we edit that here, okay, and create the file there. But right now we just want people to type in admin to get to the admin. Okay, so now I want to render the admin index. So let's go to the views, and we don't have an admin directory here, so I'm going to create one. Right click and directory admin, and then we want to create a file inside here called index. Okay, and I'm going to leave this index. Actually, it's index.handlebars. Okay, remember we're doing handlebars when we're doing HTML stuff. Handlebars. I was gonna do the next time you see me doing that handlebars, I'm gonna be doing the my templates, so I don't have to write handlebars all the time. Anyway, I'm gonna leave the next part for the next video, just because this video is getting kind of long and I don't want you guys to get too bored. So I'll see you in the next lecture and we'll finish it up. Thank you so much. See you then. Welcome back, my dear students. So I got a little carried away on the last video here. I want to make my videos maybe 3 to 5 minutes long, because I know how it is when we're taking classes from other teachers. We fall asleep, right? My videos are like 10 minutes now on this course, but I'm going to try to make it shorter for you guys so you guys don't get bored. So anyway, I know some of you like it long, but shorter is better. So let's go ahead and start creating our index. So for that, what we're going to do is we're going to go to admin layouts in views, in layouts right here, and we need to start playing around with this. So we need to see where this file ends, and if we go all the way down to where it says blank here, let's go ahead and try this out first, see if it works, because we don't know if it works. Okay, this is just the file path here. We have to go to our application, localhost 4500. We don't have a link here yet, so we need to make one, but let's go to admin, enter, and as you can see, something is happening here. Now, one of the things that you're going to notice is that this is taking the layout that we have in login and registration. We don't want that. We want to use a different layout for our admin. We want to use our admin layout because that's what we got here, right? So when we go to our route here and we are executing this file here, it's taking the other layout, okay? And we don't want to use the other layout. So how can we override this? Well, we do this, and as a matter of fact here, we go to our admin routes here and we do an override up here of the layout that we want to use. We have this default layout right here in app.js. It's telling our application use the home as a default layout. But now we want to use a different layout because we're going to admin. So we need to go to admin routes here and write an individual middleware here in a sense to override our default. So we have this router, we have this all method here that we can use to make sure that all the routes in this specific file, all the admin routes, do something. So this all can be like, okay, listen, I want to grab everything that's in after admin and I want something to happen to it. Okay, if I wanted to affect everything, I make sure that it does affect everything. Okay, but here we are affecting this after admin, and let's introduce what we want. So I'm gonna open a function, a fat arrow function here. Hold on, right here as a second parameter. We're gonna have the request. We're gonna have the response and the nets. Remember that this nets function here is how we tell it to go to the nets piece of code. Okay, this is a nets callback function. You're gonna see that in a minute now. So what we want to do is we want to apply to the request to our app locals, which means this is going to be like a variable that's available in our all applications. Okay, this is like a way of writing a variable that's available everywhere else. So we have this layout available to us, and this layout variable or setting is going to be overwritten. Okay, right now by default our application has this layout value, but we're going to override it every time somebody comes into this route, which is of course the admin route. Remember that we are inside here, so we're going to override it by the admin route. Okay, now remember that if we go to app.js, if we want our whole application to use the admin route, we just do admin here. Okay, we don't need to write that handlebars because our application is going to look into the layouts directory by default, and it's going to look into these files. We don't have to write the extension anyway either. Okay, but we want, of course, home. Let's go to this route. We want this variable to be overwritten to that when it reaches this /admin or anything. Actually, this asterisk is just saying anything after admin. Okay, so and then we want our nets routes to be loaded. That's all we're saying here. So let's see how that works. Let's go back and let's go to admin here, enter, and as you can see our admin is perfectly working now. Well, not 100% because we don't have dynamic content yet. We do have to put those curly brackets those three curly brackets and the body variable inside our handlebars to make this dynamic. But we're gonna do that in another lecture. So there you have it, guys. We are starting to make our application look a lot better. We're having a lot of fun, and I'll see you in the next lectures. Take care, guys. Welcome back, my dear students. So hopefully you guys got this cover and you created your dynamic data already. If not, don't worry. I got this cover for you. Let's do it. So let's go and to the admin layouts right here, and let's find out where our page actually starts with, like, we want our content to be down here, so we need to look for this blank title somewhere, right? Oh, there we go. So we have this blank title. I'm gonna do Control K just to delete the whole line there, and this is what we want our variable body here to be, our dynamic content. There we go. Great. And we can leave this for like title variable later on if we want to include like a separate variable for every what you call it. Actually, I'm just gonna take that off. All right, so I'm gonna refresh here, and of course we don't have anything. Why don't we create like a dashboard type of page here, right? For everything that has to do with settings or anything for application. Maybe later on we want some functionalities here that when we press a button, it affects the whole application, right? Some type of settings page, or maybe stats or something. So let's create this route dashboard. And I think we already had it, but I took it off. My bad, my bad. Okay, let's go ahead and create that. I'm just gonna copy and paste that in there. I'm just gonna do dashboard, and we need to create that view, right? So let's go to our view admin, and then inside here, I'm gonna right click, and I'm not going to use the manual version. I'm just gonna do my templates. But remember that you need to type in dot handlebars all the time. That dashboard dot handlebars, okay? I'm just gonna put a little H1 there, and I'm gonna say dashboard like that. Let's go back here, and let's also go to admin layouts. And what else can we do? Well, it does have a navigation here. I wonder this navigation is a big navigation here. It does have two navigations, I see. This has the fetch top navigation. So it does have, it looks like it has this top navigation here, and does have this one. Okay. Let's figure this out. Right, so what I want to do is I want to look for the side navigation, and let's do a command F or control F here to look for side nav or something like that. Side nav, like that. Let's see if that's the only one there. Toggler, I don't want to look for a toggler. I want to look for like a main type of navigation title or something. There we go. This is it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this minus here. But if you don't have this functionality on your editor, make sure that you look for the where this UL ends, okay? And I'm going to take this, okay? I'm going to comment this. I'm just going to say sign nav here, okay? Like that. I'm going to cut this. I'm going to create the partial real quick. So greater than symbol, admin, and then it's going to be admin side nav or something like that. Let's go ahead and create this. Partials, admin, And inside here, I'm gonna create a file called admin site nav, like that. And I'm gonna paste that in there, and I'm gonna expand it. I don't have to expand it, but I like to do that so you can see what I'm doing, right? Let's go to admin.handlebars. We got that included there. Hopefully it's working. I don't have to do anything else. I'm gonna refresh. As you can see, everything looks like it's working. So we're breaking this up, okay? What else do we need? Do we need to, what else do we have? The site toggler here. Let's bring that down. And well, let's figure out where, well, I'm gonna leave this like this because this is just the top navigation. If you want to, you could take the top navigation out, okay? But I'm just gonna leave it the way it is, guys, okay? Let's not complicate ourselves. Maybe later on, if you want it separate, you could do that, okay? Let's go to the side nav here, and on the dashboard, let's just make sure that this goes to the dashboard. So admin /admin dashboard, like that. Okay, let's refresh. And you know what? We need some type of link that goes to homepage as well. Let's make that, this is in the top navigation, right? So let's go back to the admin.handlebars inside the layouts, and where it says start bootstrap, I want this to go to the home page. Okay, I'm gonna say home page. Refresh that home page. Oops, our home page. Oh, one thing to keep in mind that now our home page is actually inheriting our default layouts. So we need to be more specific when we are doing the routes, because it's inheriting our admin layout. So let's go to routes real quick. Let's copy. This is the admin routes index.js. I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna take it to the home routes index.js. I'm gonna paste that in here. And now we need to be specific about what we want. Okay, it was just overwriting it. Now let's go back and refresh, and now you can see I refreshed twice. Okay, that works. And then admin here, that works, right? Different layouts, homepage. Let's put a link here somewhere so it goes to admin as well. So let's close all this and let's see where we are. Let's go to views, layouts, and home, partials, navigation, home. Oops, sorry about that, guys. So inside partials is where we need to go, and inside the partials we have, what in the world happened? We have this home navigation there, which there we go. Sorry about that, guys. My mouse was not working 100%. I'm just gonna put this admin here real quick. We're gonna hide this later on depending on where you are logged in or logged out, so don't worry about that. Admin. Okay, let's refresh. We have this link here. We can go to admin and we can go to the home page. Great. And dashboard. Look at that. Everything is working. Now, guys, take your time. I know this could get a little overwhelmed, and the reason why you see me doing this so easily is because I've done it so many times. I built so many different apps using Node.js that it's just very easy for me. Okay? But keep practicing. Go rewind the video. Make sure you get this 100% before you move to the next section. If this is not working for you, make sure that you are exporting it, and make sure that you are loading it up here and then using it down here. Okay? Make sure you don't have any other routes here, and make sure your server is running. Okay? Remember that mine is running automatically doing nodeman, and I can do Control-C, turn that off, and then I go clear and I do nodeman again, app, tab key, enter, and now it's running. All right. If that's not running, you are going to have some type of error. So I just gave you a couple tips to debug your application if it's not working. If it's not working for some reason, please post that in the discussion and we will help you. Okay? So enjoy the rest of your day or see you in the next lecture, guys. Take care. Bye-bye. Welcome back, my dear students. So I don't know about you, but I like to jump into like the most exciting stuff, right? I don't like the boring things. So with that said, what I want to do is I want to start creating posts right away, man. I don't want to have to wait for everything here, right? So what I'm going to do, what we want to do, and I want you guys to follow me. Don't be copy and pasting stuff. I want you guys to write the code, okay? That's the only way you're going to learn this stuff. I want to make sure that this button here is working because this is supposed to drop all the way down and we're supposed to see some links here. This is not working. And if you do Command or Control Alt J, whatever, well, if you inspect your browser, you're going to see that this is not working here. We got some issues here. So we want to make sure that all this JS stuff is working. For that, we need the JS files, right? Yes, that doesn't take a brain to find out. So let's go ahead and go to our JavaScript stuff here and see what we need, right? Check what we need. Let's make sure that we go to our views, layouts, then admin layouts. Let's go all the way to the bottom and check this out. So we're gonna need Bootstrap. Of course, we got, well, let's go all the way to the bottom. Sorry about that, I didn't scroll. So we're gonna need jQuery first. Then we're gonna need this bundle.min whatever, and jQuery async. That's another plugin for this main jQuery, and then we're gonna need that. Let's see if we have that. So we got the admin JS here. jQuery async should be right here somewhere. And of course we can copy all these files. Okay, I'm just gonna copy this. And we can even copy Bootstrap if we wanted to, but we already got Bootstrap. Well, so let's copy this and drop it into the public JS, okay? I'm just gonna copy and let's drop that in there. Let's go to public JS and paste that in there. We can also paste the Bootstrap, okay? But since we're gonna be using that file a lot, we can just include it right away. You know what? Let's just include the whole file. Let's not complicate ourselves. There we go. All right. All right. So sorry about that, guys. I was just sneezing a lot here, you know. Anyways, I had to pause the video real quick. But okay, so we copy those there and we just have to link them. So we got to do /JS and here /JS again and again. Sorry about that. I just sounded real funny there for a moment, right? And oh, we're missing this guy here. I think we are. Yes, we are. So let's go and where is it? Let's go back to our JS, and this is inside that file that I gave you, okay? Let's copy that guy there. Just drop him inside that JS, in public JS in that file there, okay? You can also put admin there just to make sure that those are the admin scripts. So let's create another folder here and call this admin stuff. And I'm just gonna drop that in there just to make it clear that that's where it's going. Okay, so okay. So inside here, the JS, we just say admin, and that should work. Okay, let's try this out and see if we get some type of functionality. Refresh, and voila, it's working. We don't have any of those 404 errors here. Everything is working. Cool. There we go. That's working. Beautiful. Look at that. Guys, I'm getting really excited about this project. I hope you guys are too. Really cool stuff. Okay. We don't even need any frameworks, but of course, later on, if I don't have a course on frameworks, you should take one of those, like Angular or React. Really cool frameworks to work with. Now it's a lot more learning curve, but I like to do things like core from scratch first, and that way when we learn stuff from scratch, then when we jump into frameworks, it's gonna be a lot easier. You need this knowledge anyways. So anyway, so on the next lecture, we're gonna continue building. What I want you to do, and maybe you can, I'm hoping you can, just go ahead and change the links on the side nav to say posts, and make sure that you have a create post, all posts, um, and that's it for that. That's what we're going to be doing in the next lecture. Should be pretty easy. And then inside those create, and make sure that they have their own dynamic data, their own routes, their own views. Okay, so create that handlebars inside the post folder, and we will have an edit as well, very similar to the create. So for those of you that are experienced, go ahead and try to do that yourself. We're going to do that in the next lecture. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next lecture.